All right, if you've ever wondered how we decide which polls to trust when reporting who's leading in the presidential race, tonight we've got your answers. My colleague Bret Baier takes us through the process.
We have Hillary Clinton in a two-way race, up 11 points.
With just over 2 months until the first voting in the presidential race, most people will tell you they are either tired of or confused by polls. And most will add they're sick of the use of polls by all media outlets looking for a way to measure the race. We do it too. Here's what we do and don't use. At Fox News, we do not use online polls. We use scientific phone and cell phone-based polls with trusted methodology.
If you are invited to go onto a poll online and vote for who you think won a debate or who you think the best candidate is, if you stumble upon that while you are surfing around the internet, that isn't even a poll. That's just how many times can you get people to click a button. And candidates, and we've seen this in every cycle, try to manipulate those. They urge their supporters, go there and vote.
There's a lot of online polls that aren't representative. There's a lot of what we call IVR polls, where it's an automated recorded voice asking people to push a button. You know, the gold standard is live interviewers calling people on cell phones and landlines, and there's not a whole lot of those. Most of the major networks do it. We do it.
While we rely heavily on polls, there hasn't been a great track record when it comes to elections, especially when it comes to recent elections with conservatives. The most recent example is Kentucky. The gubernatorial race down there, the major poll, is the Bluegrass poll. Heading in, Democrat Jack Conway had 45% to the Republican Matt Bevin's 40%. But take a look at what happened on Election Day. The real results? Bevin 53, Conway 44. Not even close. And the Bluegrass poll is a respected poll in Kentucky.
When you look back after the fact and try to ascertain what went wrong, a lot of the times you have to crack open the internals. You know, were there too many members of a particular group? Was there a partisan skew to turnout that wasn't captured in the poll?
The assumptions about what the electorate is going to look like affects how pollsters are weighting their samples. Who they expect to see turn out to vote affects what what pollsters put in on the front side, and maybe they had the wrong assumptions.
As you know, we are inundated with polls in the presidential race, really one after the other. Here's the latest Quinnipiac poll in Iowa, plus or minus 4%, the margin there, with Trump in the lead, Cruz essentially tied in second, over Carson in third. Nationally, you can see the ABC Washington Post poll has a slightly bigger lead for Trump, but take a look at this, the margin of error, plus or minus 6%. The latest Fox News poll has similar results with a slightly bigger lead for Trump, plus or minus 4.5%. Now, people say, what does this mean as far as how many people are involved in these surveys, in these polls? Well, in the Fox poll, it's 406 GOP primary voters. Still, again, 4.5% margin of error. Some may ask, why does 406 equal a fair cross-section of this race? Well, here's why.
I don't need to drain a bowl of soup or a vat of soup to determine the temperature of the soup. All I need to do is to take a spoonful. And as long as that spoonful is representative of the entire pot of soup, I can get a really good impression of the flavor, the temperature, etc. So what we do in polling, the key is, of course, random selection of individuals. And the more people you randomly select, the more likely you are to uncover opinions, attitudes, vote preferences that are held by lots of people.
There is some evidence over time that the Republicans are underrepresented in polls. The Republicans perhaps are less willing than Democrats to participate in polls before Election Day. In the 2014 cycle, one of the reasons for the polling debacle in so many places was that there was an assumption that the electorate would exist on a line somewhere between the 2010 Tea Party wave and the 2012 re-election of Barack Obama. As it turned out, the pollsters were wrong. They thought the electorate would look about halfway in between, or maybe even a little closer to 2012. In fact, the electorate looked very much like 2010 and resulted in a 9-seat pickup for the Republicans in the Senate.
There are so many polls in the presidential race. They're coming one after another. It helps to look at the average of all recent polls. We use the Real Clear Politics average here at Fox. It averages all the recent polls in the presidential race, and there you see it, the breakdown. There are also other sites that do this as well, an average. There is no margin of error. This is simply an average, but it gives you a sense of the big picture because there are so many different polls and they all have a different cross-section of people surveyed.
Polls are a snapshot of a moment in time. They're not a crystal ball that can predict the future for you. They can give you clues and help you understand the contours of the landscape. But events inevitably intervene and change where the public is.
In Washington, Bret Baier, Fox News.